but Jack and I rolled down a hill, and then because we're both allergic to grass, and this is how we found out, because we stopped, and we were just covered in hives, and it was just not a good time.
When people tell Adele to touch grass, it's a threat.
You're essentially telling me to kill myself.
Hello, and welcome back to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where three friends break down the 1999 animated series, Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I'm obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
And my name's Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies Season 2, Episode 13, titled The Wedding. Original air date March 30th, 2002 on Adult Swim, written by Brendan Small, Bill Broaddus, and cast, directed by Lauren Bouchard, and produced by Melissa Barden Galsky. Synopsis for this season finale episode. Andrew and Linda are getting married, Brendan develops a rash, and Paula's friend Stephanie develops a crush.
Oh, shit.
I was so happy when I saw Stephanie.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, not so much some other characters I noticed though. So
Yeah.
We'll get into all that, but be first. Yeah, we'll leave that. But be first, let's go into the creative corner, shall we? The creative corner, of course, something in the creative realm that we're producing, consuming, whatever that we want to bring to light. Creative corner, Bob. It's your last one. Creative corner, doodly doo.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you for your service.
Now get out of here.
Get the fuck out of my apartment. Weirdo. All right, creative corner. Who wants to? I think we get Timothy Chalamet for season 3.
I was going to make the joke,
Yeah. Creative corner, who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Adele.
So, if you know me, you know that I am a huge Bo Burnham fan.
Yeah, you are.
And I've discovered this channel on YouTube last night called Patrick CC. And he does like video essays on different people. And the one that I watched last night was called Bo Burnham's Final Warning Before He Disappeared. And it's a really well done video essay with a collection of all of the just hard to find interviews with Bo Burnham and how he's like gone to colleges and all these other places talking about the damaging effects of our phones and social media and the internet. And like he was doing this shit back in like 2016 to 2018, and nobody was listening to him, and we should have been listening to him. There's a really good quote. I encourage people to watch this video. It's 43 minutes long, but it's really, really good. There's a quote that he says that one day we're going to look back at social media and our internet usage like we look back at smoking cigarettes. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That hits.
There's a couple things about that, because one, I heard a quote where it was, we were going to be the first generation to quit cigarettes altogether, but then they gave us a flavor of cotton candy and we folded like a lawn chair.
Yeah, like we're little kids in a candy store.
Yeah. It's like, oh, now it's got flavor? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
I don't know if you know this, but some states have actually outlawed flavored vapes.
I didn't know that.
The only nicotine vapes they can sell are tobacco flavored and menthol flavored.
Damn. Well, doesn't affect me because I don't smoke cigarettes.
Or vape, but it's
Yeah.
like these wild flavors. It's like, dude, no rational adult is like, yes, I
Yeah.
need that cotton candy, berry blitz, banana split vape, please.
And like I don't want to say this is common because I genuinely hope it's not common, but I know like kids in high school and some kids in grade school are bringing vapes to school and like Juul vapes and smoking, and it's just like, bro.
It's super common. It's like super common. It sucks. Some of Nick's friends are teachers, and I was talking to them the other day about like, how do you guys do it? And they're like, because teachers are such a like important part of society, and just them having to deal with everything. The fact that they're addicted to their phones and they're addicted to their vapes. And I don't want to be the like angry man yells at cloud, but I just feel so bad for what the internet has done and how all these corporations have explicitly exploited kids.
Oh yeah, 100%. And Bo Burnham even talks about that in one of the many interviews that show up in that video, about how like we lost the internet. The internet in the beginning was the people's media, and then corporations took it over, and now it's just another way to steal our time and our money and our sanity. So it was a really interesting watch, and I implore people to watch it because I feel like we're on our phones way too much. I think we're dependent on our phones. And not to say our phones are necessarily bad. There are definitely things we can do on our phones. It's being mindful and using it with a purpose and not just fucking falling into rabbit holes or doom scrolling. And yeah, so.
It's literally about being you. You just said like the whole we lost the internet thing. I literally brought that up to my therapist the other day because when I saw that same interview, I was just floored because it's so true. And nothing hits me more than when I was having a similar conversation with my friend Jens when the corporations and when everybody was like monetizing the internet and like really taking a piece out of it. And he was like, yeah, it's just the Wild West isn't wild anymore. And it's so true. This could have been a medium for people to create things that didn't have to abide by some sort of algorithm. But here we are with an algorithm. And there's people making art and great stuff, but they're trying to appease the algorithm. And I don't want to have an anti-creative corner here, but I really despise like Mr. Beast and the people who are just doing whatever they can to please the algorithm to make money off of it, not for anything other than just making money. There's no creative outlet anymore, and that's something I will die on. I will die on that hill.
What was the guy who did the video essay on Bo Burnham? What was his name again?
Patrick C.C.
Okay, I'm assuming he's got a lot of.
Yeah, he does it on like Jim Carrey's Awakening. I think he has a video on that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good videos. So check him out.
Yeah, Patrick C.C.
Yes, the letter C.C. Yeah.
Right, on YouTube.
Yes.
Wonderful creative corner.
Thank you.
Marcin, would you like to go next, or would you like me to go?
I can definitely go next. I said off mic last week that I was upset because I should have done this week's creative corner last week because it would have made more sense with the episode. But my creative corner this week is The Theory of Obscurity. It's a Residents documentary about the band The Residents. Even if you don't, because I didn't know who The Residents were. Like my cousin Eddie introduced me to The Residents by sending me this weird picture of a bunch of eyeballs and tuxedos, and I was like, dude, I really like that. He's like, do you not know who these are? And he sat me down and we watched The Theory of Obscurity, and you really don't need to know anything about The Residents. You like just it's all about creativity. It's a documentary about The Residents, which was this I struggle to call them a band because they are really just anti-music, anti-structured creativity, and I think that was something that really helped me when I watched the documentary because it talks about how creativity shouldn't have some sort of structure that you abide by. It's literally just about doing something creatively, just doing something different, just following whatever you want to do because that's what art really is. In the documentary, they talk about how the Residents would bring on like known musicians and ask them to perform music, but do the notes wrong. They're like, you play the notes, but just don't do them right. Just do whatever you want. And I really love this documentary. I wanted to rewatch it last night, but it was like 3 a.m. by the time I was.
That's fair.
I was like, you know what? I got to hit the hay. I really do love the documentary. It came out in 2015, and it just talks about these 4 people who we don't know their names. The Residents are all like unnamed figures, and they refuse to be known to the public. They just come in, they make this like really weird music, and one of the quotes from the documentary is, the music is not easy listening. It's there and it demands your attention. It's really just about what they're trying to say and the message. It's not like easy listening pop tunes that everybody just and listen, I love pop music. When Justin Bieber's Baby came out, I like, especially in my household, I was like in my room, like playing it on like 5% volume, like baby, Like, I love pop music. Kesha, all of those people, I love it. Love it. But there's just a different part of your brain that gets scratched when you listen to something that demands your attention. It's why I love movies and films by David Lynch so much. And I think it's just something that any artist should really see, this documentary, because I think it allows you to ease off of yourself a bit, like stop putting so much pressure on yourself to make this art how everyone else makes it. I highly recommend The Theory of Obscurity about the Residents. It's free on Tubi.
Nice.
Jinx. I remember after you watched it, you recommended it to us, and then Tim and I watched it, and it's a really good documentary because I hadn't heard of them either. But yeah, I definitely agree. It gives you that sense of I can actually be creative without having to have this like cloud of doom above me. I can just do it and not have to have expectations.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I do remember watching that documentary. It was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't mean interesting in a bad way. I just mean in a very this is a very artsy kind of, these people have intention behind their look, their sound, everything. And it's just I found it all very interesting. Yes.
Yeah. It helped me, start painting, which is something I never thought I'd be able to do because I would just make something like, this doesn't look like anything. But watching that documentary made me go like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Very good creative corner.
Tim, would you like to go next?
No. So this episode, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have a creative corner. It's a TV show that Adele and I just finished the first season of. It kind of coincidentally, we just finished the season 1 finale a couple days ago, and now here we are watching a season finale of Home Movies. But we rewatched this show because the second season is coming out very soon, and we're very excited. It is a show called Severance, and I believe it's on Apple TV. I highly encourage people to watch this show, but I also kind of encourage you to go into it knowing, honestly, maybe as little as possible. The things I will tell you about the show, it stars Adam Scott, who Adele and I had a conversation about Adam Scott the other day, because my first experience with Adam Scott in anything was he was the brother in Step Brothers, the douchey brother.
Yeah.
And when I saw him in that, I was like, man, this guy's kind of a douchebag. Not realizing oh no, this guy is a good actor who's very good at playing a douchebag. And then I saw him in Parks and Rec, and he was the most charming, relatable nerd you could be. So I was like, okay, no, he's just a good actor. But then I started hearing him on podcasts and seeing him on interviews and stuff. And I'm like, oh, he's actually a very genuine, wholesome dude. He's very obsessed with Star Wars. And he was on some talk show and they brought out Mark Hamill. And he was shaking. He was so excited. But he's the star of the show. It's very good. It's a dark comedy. Should I explain what Severance is and then just leave it at that?
Yeah, because you learn it right away.
Right away. Okay. So Adam Scott's character signs up for this program called the Severance Program, where he works for this company and basically has a chip implanted in his head so that when he goes down the elevator to work, he now turns into a different version of himself that is only familiar with work. It's his work innie. But when he goes up the elevator, it switches back, and he has no recollection of his job, what he does, anything like that. He literally signs up for this program that for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it switches his brain off, so he's a different version of himself. And that is kind of the setup for what Severance and the show is. It's just so fucking intriguing and so well done. It's produced by Ben Stiller, who's not in it, but he just produces it. And it's just so good. I cannot recommend it enough. And season 2 comes out later this month in January. I did see, because it's on Apple TV, and not everybody has Apple TV, Roku, the Roku channel that should be free with any Roku TV, has the entire first season for free with ads. So you can watch it on Roku, and then if you're interested, go ahead and get Apple TV and watch season 2 later this month.
That's really interesting. I didn't know Ben Stiller produced it.
Yes.
Yeah.
because I've never seen Step Brothers, and the only thing that I was introduced to Adam Scott was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which great movie, by the way. But he also plays a douchebag in that one. So
Nice.
Yeah. I really wanted to watch that. I confuse Severance and Succession. Like, those are the two ones I confuse, like, all the time, because not that I refuse to watch them, but because, like, they're on Apple TV, and I am not. I refuse to give Apple more of my money.
Sure.
I feel that on a deep level, yes.
Let's just say after we're done recording, I will send you a link or two so you don't have to worry about that.
Let's go. To DVD.
DVD.
Just to touch back on Severance, it's such a good show. It's so well done, and there's a lot of play on words, and there's a lot of parallels to like real life, and it's so there's a mystery, it's deep, it's just so good, and I don't want to give any more away, but it's so thought-provoking. Yeah,
they answer a lot of questions, but they don't answer some questions. So it's not one of those like the show Lost where you're constantly like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you do learn slowly but surely what's happening, but it's so good. And Adele and I had already watched it. We knew what was going to happen at the end, and we're still like edge of our seats like, oh my God, oh shit, oh, like it's just such a good show. I cannot recommend it enough.
Right. And we saw things our second watch that we didn't even notice the first time.
Absolutely. So that's my creative corner.
Doodly-doo.
Last creative corner of season 2.
Oh, I always thought you were like of 2025.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, I quit. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I couldn't quit on you guys.
Thanks.
I love you too much.
Well, are you guys ready to jump into this season 2 finale?
Yes.
Let us commence.
Let us pray.
Let us pray. On this episode that opens up at the store, tuxes and stuff. Almost immediately I heard Marcin like, oh no.
I knew. Because once I knew Cynthia was never coming back, I knew.
Wait, Cynthia's not coming back, so you knew the next episode is going to be a wedding?
Well, because it was the only big thing from the season that we were alluding to in the future, and Cynthia wasn't coming back, and that was like the big thing last episode. So I thought, the only thing that there was as far as like the string to hold a story together was the dad. Like, Brendan's dad was like, I don't even know if there was going to be a wedding. And I've always been thinking about that since those 2 episodes back to back.
Yeah. Well, good news.
There is.
There is a wedding. So we see Andrew and Brendan trying on some powder blue tuxedos. Apparently Brendan's choice. Andrew's not really feeling them. He says he feels like more that he's going to his prom than his wedding. That's when Brendan's like, so the green ones with the big ties, and it pans over to these just like obnoxious green and purple. I would wear those suits in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Same. That's just the Onceler costume from the Lorax movie. Have you guys seen the Lorax?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not.
How bad can I be?
It's such a good movie.
It's fun.
Andrew suggests maybe they try something else. At one point, Andrew opens the curtain to the dressing room, and Brendan is in there flexing in the mirror in his little underoos. Andrew asks him, have you been rolling around naked in poison ivy? And I love it. Brendan's like, probably. And then asks why, and that's when Andrew informs him, you have an alarming red spot on your back. Brendan reassures him it's okay, and he's like, yeah, I call it the crab because it looks like a crab. And even Andrew's like, okay, let's go to a doctor now.
And then didn't take him to a doctor.
No. Did you notice there's a sign behind him that says, buy 5 tuxes, get 1 free?
No.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like if all the groomsmen get their tuxes there.
Oh, yeah. That makes more sense. I was like, who's going to buy 5, essentially 6 tuxes for themselves?
Dude, how much is a tux?
A lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Dude.
Usually you rent a tux.
Yeah, and they're still, I mean, in my personal opinion, a little expensive to rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And the thing is, they and maybe this is a hot take, but I hate tuxes. I hate how they look. I hate how generic they are. I hate that
they're stiff.
I always get so jealous, especially when like dances would come around at school and all these girls have like multicolored dresses and they all have like different types of style and design. They flow to the ground or they don't. They got pencil skirts not, and then all the boys, they just got like this big old suit with a bow tie and that's it. You can knock them all down, and the only difference is the color bow tie. I'd always get so fucking annoyed.
Sometimes they would match their shirt, like their button-up shirt, to their date's dress, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's as far as it goes.
Right.
Out of high school, though, my dad did take me to Burlington Coat Shop or whatever the fuck it was called, and he was like, "Hey, so you're out of high school now, so you're gonna need a suit because all of your friends are either gonna be getting married or they're gonna die." So.
Out of high school, he says this to you?
Yeah.
Wow, what a champ.
Also, before I get like hit my adult weight and my adult like height, so it's like, let's get you a suit now
That you'll never fit into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know suits, how they're already uncomfortable? Let's make one even more uncomfortable.
What a unit.
Absolute.
So we open the curtain to the changing room a second time, and Brendan is in like more of a traditional tux. Brendan hates it, says he looks like a magician, and Andrew specifies, no, you don't look like a magician. You look like a waiter at a restaurant with no child labor laws.
I thought he looked like a butler.
Yeah, I can definitely see Butler.
Thought he looked like the doorman.
I don't get that reference.
No one does, baby. It's just me.
That was just for me, baby. So Andrew admits that's probably the best that they're going to do. All right, we have the curtain in the dressing room opening for a third time, and it's Linda looking for Brendan. Brendan yells, "Excuse me, do you know how to knock?" And she's like, "It's a curtain." And that's when Brendan's like, "Well, why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer." And Linda proceeds to take a picture.
Linda, call the cops. We're calling the cops on Linda.
I was
taking a picture of a small child in his underwear.
About to say the police just immediately just shove her up against the wall.
Let's re-edit that so as soon as she takes a picture, there's just flashing red and blue lights.
Yeah, for real.
Or the cops knocking down the door meme. I did write in my breakdown here. Side note, what the fuck, Linda?
Linda.
Listen, Linda.
It's just a very funny name. I can't help myself.
Yeah, it is fun to be like, Linda.
Linda. Yeah, no, she's not doing herself any favors with this little stunt.
No, I don't think so.
And what did she even want from Brendan?
I think she was just looking for him.
But for no reason, just to take a picture of him in his underwear?
I guess so.
There he is.
I see you, Linda.
Yeah.
I see you, Linda, and I'm not impressed.
Yep. My guard is up on Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very mixed on Linda this episode. At one point, we'll get to it. At one point, she did make me feel bad, but
yeah,
I don't give a fuck. Cry, bitch.
Wow.
Adele's
someone getting married this year, you have no sympathy for someone who's going
first of
through
all,
it.
I don't take pictures of children in their underwear. I deserve to be married.
I deserve to be married.
I wasn't talking about the pictures part.
Adele's got
That's
two
funny.
fists in there for Linda.
Yeah, Linda has definitely replaced Stephanie when it comes to my least favorite character.
Yeah. And they're both...
I don't mind Stephanie in season 2.
Yeah, at least Stephanie was fucking with grown-ass adults.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, man. We'll get to Stephanie in a bit.
Yeah. Well, the next scene, we've got Brendan talking to Coach McGurk. I feel like it's after a soccer game because Coach keeps telling Brendan, like, yeah, you played very poorly. And then he even points out, like, you're probably not going to get better. Brendan says he appreciates the frankness, but he didn't want to overexert himself today because he's got a rash. Coach asks where the rash is, and Brendan says it's on his back. And I think Adele saw it. Brendan lifts up his shirt.
Yeah.
He's not wearing a onesie. He, lifts.
Yeah, it's the back flap.
Yeah. I guess it would have been weird if he's like, yeah, check this out, and then just starts taking all of his clothes off.
Check out this tattoo. It's that cow from the cheese I like.
So Coach is even like, that's not a rash. That's not a real rash. And Brendan's like, yeah, what is? He's like, think about this. You have a rash, and it hurts so bad, you go blind. You blow up like a balloon. You look like a circus freak. And the next thing you know, you're in the circus, touring, making good money. And then finishes that story with, yeah, Brendan, you know my life.
You know my life.
I want to know his life. I want to hear more about this.
I'm going to get a timeline together of everything that McGurk has been through.
Yeah.
Ran away, lived at a pizza place, joined the circus.
And how old is he? Like 30?
36.
Yeah.
36?
Yeah, I think we established he's like mid-30s.
Damn.
You know his life.
Damn, I need to do more with my life. when Coach McGurk has accomplished more than I have.
Well,
What did
I
he
don't know if these are
accomplish?
accomplishments.
He accomplished being in a traveling show.
I swear to God, you go outside into the forest, run around in some poison ivy, you could do the same exact thing. You'd make it big on
That's
TikTok
fair.
that way.
Just show everybody my rashes.
Well, for the next couple of days, actually.
Wah, wah. Yeah.
I call this one the crab. That's when Coach explains to Brendan that rashes come from bad hygiene. So whenever you go to a public restroom, you should put the seat cover down. If they don't have one, manufacture one from toilet paper or a shirt or your socks.
I was going to say, this might be the first good advice that McGurk has handed out. But
Yeah, that's fair. Do you guys use the toilet paper? Like you ever see those? Do they even have those in the restrooms anymore?
I've seen seat covers. I've seen
The paper seat covers.
paper seat covers, yeah.
I don't use public restaurants. Restaurants.
That's fair. That's very fair.
If I'm sitting down in a public restroom, there is some kind of an emergency happening.
Well,
so.
it's nice to have the option,
Yeah,
isn't it, guys?
Sorry.
Del, why don't you just stand up like the rest of us? Come on.
Yeah, it'll just be a huge mess. It'll be fine.
Sitting in a puddle.
And then you'll be like, at least I didn't have to sit on the toilet seat.
Those toilet seat covers piss me the fuck off, too, because they'll, like, stick to your butt.
Oh, I saw
No.
that in 8 Crazy Nights.
I've never seen that.
Oh, you haven't? Do yourself a favor. That's a good one.
And continue to not watch it?
Bum bitty 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 bum.
Oh, yes.
Bum. I once sent a voice message to Nate when I was high. I was like, we need a song like this, and I sent him the bum bitty bum bum. And he's like, maybe re-listen to this in the morning.
That's fair.
Nice. Well, at this point, we hear a horn honk, and Brendan gets up to tell Coach that his ride is here. And Coach is like, yeah, who's that? And Brendan says, my mom and her friend. So Coach stands up and says, well, I should go say hello to your mom and tell her how bad you played.
Rude.
So now we're at Paula's car, and we see Stephanie saying hello to little Brendan.
I was so happy when I saw Stephanie.
She gives him a huge hug and says, it's great to see you again, little bee.
There's
Do you
a
remember
bee.
me? I remember being a kid and people being like, do you remember me? And I would be like, no, I do not remember you. I'm 5.
Yeah, exactly. Did you give me a present or gift or money? Then no.
Then fuck off.
The fuck? Do I remember you? Fucking businessman at 5 keeping a Rolodex of names? Fuck out of here.
I was always
Shit.
as someone who's like raised children in the household, I do have that urge to be like, do you remember me? Do you remember what I used to do?
That's different.
That's
That's different. Because, like, in my case, it was always, like, friends of my parents, like, in this situation, where if you actually raised the child, yeah, they better fucking remember you.
I was like,
Yeah, every once in a while you'll get like, yeah, I was your babysitter for a little while. And you're like, okay, that's fair. I should probably remember you.
Yeah, I remember my babysitters.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, my great uncle's friend who came to Thanksgiving. What? Dude, why would I remember you?
I will remember my dad's friend who hit on me at my grandma's funeral to the day I die, though.
oh, I don't like
I will
that.
not forget that man.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Right.
Back off.
I was 16. Anyway, this can all get cut out.
16, starting to find my way. Got a new job, gonna start the mall today. My dad's friend hit me on the funeral. Sorry, I had chocolate for breakfast.
Sounds like a good breakfast.
I always hated it when a friend would be like, I changed your diapers. I'm like, all right. We don't have to, you can be quiet about it, though. You don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Fucking weirdo.
Maybe chill on all that talk. That's when Coach approaches and introduces himself to Stephanie. He says hi to Paula, introduces himself to Stephanie, and there's kind of a beat, and then Paula reluctantly introduces Coach to Stephanie. Coach tells Stephanie, hey, pleased to meet you. And she says, hey, the pleasure's all mine.
Laying it on thick.
Did you clock when Paula introduced Stephanie to Coach? Stephanie totally gave him an up and down, like a full elevator eyes, top to bottom and back to top.
Back to top.
She's like, you a bodybuilder?
Oh, yeah. And I love that because he's like, nah. Well, she calls him a big fella and then asks, are you a bodybuilder? And he replies, nope, just a big fella. Blessed with bigness.
Yep.
Love that line.
Tweet.
So when Brendan is talking to Stephanie, Stephanie's like giving him attention and giving him like praise and hugging and be like, I missed you, blah, 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 blah. And like he needs to get out of there. But whenever he's hanging out with Linda, like there is some animosity there, but he's like, hey there, Linda, what's going on? And like he's brushing his hair out of the face. And I don't get it. Linda's mean. Linda's mean to you.
Father than son.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Stephanie explains that she's going to be in town for the wedding for a couple days, and Coach says, that's convenient. I also live in the area. And that's when Paula cuts him off and says, okay, let's go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is Stephanie invited to the wedding? Is she like Linda's +1, or like were they all friends in college? I need more answers.
Right. I'm assuming she's Paula's +1. Paula obviously doesn't have any kind of date there.
Right.
What are you talking about? She had a date. He came.
No. My personal theory, yes, Paula was friends with Stephanie in college. They established that the last time we had Stephanie in an episode. And Paula didn't have a date. Paula asked Stephanie if she wanted to go as her +1. Stephanie is still on this weird high from being, I think, now divorced from her. I think she was in the middle of a separation when we saw her last. But I think she's, fully detached now. And to her, maybe a wedding was... I think it was exactly what it turned out to be. Oh, a wedding? I could maybe meet some single guy there.
Yeah. She did.
That's never been like my experience with weddings. It's always been like a big time at a church, and then someone gets drunk and throws up on the dance floor, and then you go home. Like I've never been to like a wedding crasher's wedding. I don't know where this like stereotype of getting lit at a wedding and meeting people comes from.
Just wait till you go to our wedding.
Exactly, dude.
No kids.
Let's go.
Open bar, weed.
Yep.
At a hotel.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of factors in play there that kind of lean towards it. Not to mention the fact that it's a celebration of love. You've got groomsmen, you've got bridesmaids. Sometimes they're single. And maybe for some people it's like, shit, man, not getting any younger. Again, you're drinking, you're dancing. There's a lot of factors at play that kind of make it an understandable, like, yeah, people might be hooking up. It's inevitable.
I will say Stephanie was my doodle this week, as she was the last time I saw her.
Nice. Stephanie, I didn't mind Stephanie as much this episode as I did the last time we saw Stephanie.
Hell yeah.
Now we're in the car ride. We got Stephanie, Brendan, Paula. Stephanie is saying that Coach McGurk seems nice. And Paula begins saying, sure, if you're ... and then cuts herself off and says, sure, he's harmless. So I want to play a little game real quick. And we're going to start with Marcin.
Oh, yes.
She says, Coach McGurk seems nice. And Paula says, sure, if you're ... How do you think she was going to finish that sentence?
So she stopped herself not to spare McGurk's feelings. I feel like it would have to spare Stephanie's feelings. So, like, sure, if you're... I want to say something along the lines of a divorced, desperate...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's like looking at her like, yeah. There you 3Ds.
That's funny. So I think we all came from this at a different angle because Marcin, yours is like, okay, she wants to spare Stephanie's feelings. Adele and I talked about this after we watched the episode the other day. And Adele, your answer was just kind of, sure, if you're desperate. And then she kind of stopped herself. When you asked me...
Yeah.
I was like, I think she was going to say something like, sure, if you're into big, dumb, alcoholic soccer coaches.
Damn.
Yeah, I just thought desperate kind of, it just made the most sense to me.
Yeah, that's probably more I think you guys are probably closer to what she was going to say than I
don't
am.
think she cares about hurting McGurk's feelings.
No,
I
don't
think she
so
cares
either.
about hurting Stephanie's feelings.
Yeah. So she just kind of leaves it at like, yep, sure, he's harmless.
You know, I just rewatched a little tiny segment of that scene where she's like, she could be either looking at Stephanie or she could be looking at the rear view mirror to look at Brendan. And so...
Yeah, maybe she doesn't want to say because Brendan is present.
Yeah, because Brendan is close to the coach.
Very.
Back to
Or he's a child.
Yeah,
maybe.
Doesn't want to say anything.
Right.
Paula has said some out-of-pocket shit to Brendan, though.
That's true, but not when it comes to other adults or like, maybe she was going to be like, oh... who knows? But for whatever reason, she stops herself and she says, yeah, sure, he's harmless.
I also want to point out that Stephanie takes out some orange lipstick and just starts smearing it all over her lips.
Yeah.
That's actually, because once Paula cuts herself off, that's when Brendan informs his mom that he invited Coach McGurk to the wedding. And Paula's like, you can't just invite people to a wedding like that. But as soon as Brendan says that, that's when Stephanie slaps on the lipstick. So this was a very intentional, after she heard that Coach was going to be at this wedding, she's like, okay. And that's when she puts on the lipstick. Paula goes on to explain to Brendan he can't just invite people to weddings like that. It's not like a birthday party. Weddings are expensive. Brendan explains, well, I already invited him, and Paula tells Brendan to uninvite Coach. And Brendan even says, well, that's embarrassing for me. Stephanie does butt in and say she thinks it's a great idea that Coach is coming to the wedding. And Paula reiterates again to Brendan that he needs to uninvite Coach McGurk. Oh, was that the bell of uninviting?
I was trying to move it out of the way, and it just slapped it.
You're good. So, following scene, we are now inside of Brendan's movie. He's like a Viking kind of figure, and he's talking to Melissa, who I believe is the Dragon Mastress.
I did write that down.
In the very opening scene, Melissa's laying on a big, I don't know if it's supposed to be a bed or what, but next to it is a garden gnome with almost like a rope tied around it. So I don't know if it's supposed to be one of her little slaves or what the deal with that is, but we do have a garden gnome next to Melissa in the movie.
Nice. I didn't even notice the first one.
Yep. And I noticed you said first one.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, I was going to say I was holding that one in my pocket, but I think we all noticed there's the second one.
So Melissa confirms she is the Dragon Mastress, and Brendan's character is asking for directions to the splendid eternal union of the fairy princess and Milady of Flowers. Melissa's character confesses that that's where she is heading as well, and they can both ride on her dragon, who is her best friend, and she owns him.
Consensually?
That gives me a lot of energy of when parents are like, here's my child. Also, I own him.
Yeah.
Here's my son. He's my best friend, and I own him. Melissa goes on to explain that before Brendan's character can ride her magic dragon, she needs to know who he is. And that's when he dramatically introduces himself as Elfor, the Landstander. And as soon as he says that, we see a random Jason character hitting a gong. Melissa asks, is he magical? And Brendan replies, kind of. But he's not as magical as he is a Landstander.
I really like the last name because I've toyed with this idea of everybody having the same last name on a planet because they're all, connected and
related.
Exactly. And so the idea of everybody being Landstander, we're all everyone's last name is Landstander because we're all standing on land. That tickled me a little bit.
Well, what's really funny is this episode did have commentary, and I got a couple nice little bits and pieces here and there. But one of the things was Melissa and Lauren Bouchard. It's Melissa, Lauren Bouchard, and Brendan. And Melissa and Lauren asked Brendan, where did you get Landstander? And he says he got it from a character from the Dark Crystal that he would call Landstanders. But I think it was Lauren Bouchard who pointed out, well, wait a minute. I thought you just said Landstander because it was kind of like the opposite of Skywalker.
Oh.
And Brendan claims, nope, didn't even think of that when I made this name. And then the other one is, I think Lauren Bouchard is like, I get like a Highlander vibe, which like Highlander, Landstander, I don't know. Yeah, apparently Brendan got the name Landstander from some characters in the Dark Crystal, even though Lauren Bouchard's like, but Landstander is genuinely the opposite of Skywalker.
That's really funny. Like, genuinely, that's a really cool piece of trivia. Because it's all over the place. Is it Highlander? Is it the opposite of Skywalker? I wouldn't have got.
No, me neither.
I don't know about you. I always had this theory that everybody has a VHS copy of the Dark Crystal in their attic somewhere. But I love the Dark Crystal, and that was like one of my childhood classics. I would pop in that. I didn't know Landstander was a thing in there.
I don't think it's a specific. He just said that there's specific like character types that the
Gelflings ride. Yeah.
He would always just in his mind call them Landstanders. So
that was in his mind. He just called them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chamberlain.
Gelfling. It's such a good movie.
I wish I watched the Netflix one.
You should.
It breaks my heart.
They never finish it, but
It breaks my poor
It's one of
little
those
puppet heart.
many great show, no conclusion, unfortunately.
yeah. Netflix loves to do that shit.
Yeah, very cool Netflix. So we're still in the movie. Melissa asked Brendan to specify, and Brendan says he's a landstander. He stands on land. Melissa even kind of brushes it off and is like, anybody can be that. And that's when she summons her dragon, her beloved friend and slave. Brendan even makes a quick little comment like, that sounds complicated. Melissa's like, not for me.
That's when I'm playing Fallout 3.
That's fucked.
That's complicated. Not for me. Blow it up. So that's when Jason runs in as the dragon and immediately attacks Brendan. Brendan is yelling for Melissa to call her dragon off, and she's like, in a moment. She's like braiding her hair.
Yeah.
So Melissa finally calls him off, and Brendan asks Jason why he attacked, and Jason kind of gives him like the, hey, it's not you, it's me. We do hear a phone ring in the background. Jason asks if he's a friend of the bride or the groom, and Brendan replies and then is like, all right, cut, I gotta go answer the phone. Well, we're on that phone call, and who do we have but everybody's favorite, Mr. Lindenson.
Uh-oh.
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 You betcha.
Oh, I did audibly yell fuck when I saw him on the other end. And I couldn't remember what his name was because I tried to like erase it from my mind. So I wrote fuck, Mr. Whatever the fuck.
Mr. Fuckface.
I was so like I knew he was coming back. I knew it. I was hoping it was going to be next season at some point.
Well, great news.
Yeah.
He's back then as well.
I'm not going to jump ahead.
So Brendan is, introduces himself as Paula's son, and Mr. Lindenson's like, come on, don't lie. Is this her daughter? And Brendan reiterates, nope, this is her son, and asks if he can take a message. And even points out, like, hey, I'm kind of in a hurry. And Mr. Lindenson tells Brendan, have Paula call me ASAP, or as close to ASAP as she can, or ACASAP, or whenever she gets a free minute, or Wakashapama. And ends the call by saying, thank you, young lady.
And that's your call.
Brendan was the one who helped you go to the bathroom. Remember him. So you didn't
Do you remember me?
Dude, when I killed your brother, I sounded just like this. I'm just references in a cloak.
That is a reference to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Damn.
And that'll be $5 million.
Again, if Mr. Lindenson was a person I had to deal with in my personal real life daily, he would drive me absolutely fucking nuts. I love this character so much, dude. Oh my God.
He's like it's so easy to hate him, but he makes me laugh
so
easily.
Yeah.
If they're so that's an interesting thought, and you can cut this out if you don't want to. But are there people in your day-to-day lives that you hate dealing with, but if there was like an omniscient presence looking over your shoulder and watching it, going, this character's so funny?
I mean, over-exaggerated caricatures of bosses I've had, yeah, I'd probably find those a lot funnier than I did dealing with them in person.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't know. If I don't like somebody in real life, I'm sure as hell not going to find them funny. Even if they make a joke, I'm not laughing at that shit.
Me and Eddie had a mutual friend. I won't say his name, but he is. Every time I refer to him, I just say the dumbest man I've ever met. And he's
talking about me.
Wow.
No, you're the funny man.
Oh, right.
But this guy, at one point, like, he had his phone and it wasn't working, so he threw it on the ground and it cracked, and he was pissed about it, and then he grabbed his brother's phone and then called his mom and yelled at her to get a new phone. And I think about that a lot, because I feel like that's a cartoon character thing to do.
Yeah.
I saw him with both my eyes several times throughout my years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like a over-exaggeration of like a spoiled kid or like a rich kid.
Exactly.
I knew somebody in high school who would break their phone just to get the newest one, and I just remember thinking, I would never get a phone if that was if I broke my phone on purpose, I would no longer have a phone.
Someone stole my MP3 player one time at a wrestling event, and I never got an MP3 player again. They told me you should have taken better care of your shit.
Damn, that sucks.
Well, Brendan heads back down into the studio where Jason and Melissa are talking about what they plan on wearing to the wedding. Melissa says she plans on going casual, and Jason agrees you don't really have to dress up for a second marriage.
Is this, I know it's obviously Andrew's second marriage. Is it Linda's?
Oh, you know what? I don't know if that's ever specified, but I don't know. I get the vibe that it's not. I get the vibe that it's her first. Yeah. Just,
I wouldn't be surprised if she's been divorced before, though.
But I think with Paula really like nailing home that she's much younger than Andrew is, I feel like this is a first marriage situation for her.
Also, the way that Linda was reacting,
Right.
Yeah.
And the way Andrew kind of like wasn't at times. So, who knows? So, Jason asks Brendan what he's wearing, and Brendan replies a tux. Ito. That's when Brendan confesses he needs to talk to them about the wedding. Apparently, he invited them without asking first. Melissa asks what he's trying to say, and Jason asks if they're being uninvited, and Brendan backs down pretty quickly and says, no, they're definitely coming, and that's final. As he's saying this, he's already like kind of scratching. That's when Jason points out, Brendan, there's something on your head. It appears as though his rash has gone further up his neck. Brendan says it's nothing, and Jason says maybe it's mange, a disease wild dogs get. Melissa doesn't agree with the mange, and Jason says maybe it's the creepy cruds. And that's when everyone kind of agrees, it's just some creepy crud. Brendan even says, guys, it's just creepy crud. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about the creepy crud.
Yeah, don't worry about this rash that's growing by the minute, apparently.
He called it the crab.
We're well beyond crab now.
Lobster.
Brendan starts picking at it, and Melissa tells him not to. We see a quick shot of Jason reaching out to pick at it as well, and Melissa kind of slaps his hand away. Or no, Melissa just says, Jason, no. Jason asks Brendan if maybe it's diaper rash, and asks if somebody, like maybe a baby, put their butt on his neck.
Like his little baby sister that we never see anymore.
Yeah, that's where she's been half this time. Out of frame.
Growing out of his neck.
Yeah, giving Brendan the creepy crud. Melissa asks if maybe a baby put their butt on his neck, and Brendan replies, I'm not sure. And then they're even like, maybe while you were sleeping? And yeah, we see one more quick shot of Jason reaching to pick Brendan's creepy crud, and then Melissa knocks his hand away.
Have you guys ever had like a bad rash like that?
Like poison ivy, yeah. I had it on my back too, actually. I slid down a rock that was covered in poison ivy, and my shirt went back.
No.
Yeah.
I had a similar thing, but like the main thing I remember that was the most awful was someone just told me to put dish soap on it, and
What?
Oh no!
Yeah, they didn't tell me to dilute it, which apparently is very important.
Yeah.
And I had some bad chemical burns on that. The rash was gone, but then I got some pretty radical chemical burns.
Damn.
You didn't tell me to dilute it. You just told me to put dish soap on it.
Who told you that?
My
Let's beat him
aunt.
up.
Honestly, it's...
Bring her here, he says.
I would be okay with that. It's a lot It was in my adult life, which I'm very not okay with. I'm not proud of myself for that. I was like, what do you mean there's chemicals in dish soap?
Harmful chemicals. I also got a rash because I'm allergic to grass, or at least most grasses, and
that is so wild because you love nature.
I do. Like, if I have to sit in the grass, I have to put a blanket down. Otherwise, I'll get all itchy. But Jack and I rolled down a hill, and then because we're both allergic to grass, and this is how we found out, because we stopped, and we were just covered in hives. And it was just not a good time.
When people tell Adele to touch grass, it's a threat.
You're essentially telling me to kill myself at that point.
I just imagine you and Jack coming out of the forest like zombies towards him.
Yep, and then Michael loved it because the only way it would stop itching is if the spots were slapped. So Michael got to slap the absolute shit out of us the car ride home so we would stop itching. Yeah, exactly.
Hamboni.
Oh, shit. Well, the next scene we have Paula. She's talking on the phone to Linda and expressing that she can get the flowers. It's really no problem at all. Simultaneously, though, she's throwing darts at the wedding invitation of Andrew and Linda. So,
did you catch the date? Because I just saw 2002. I didn't see the rest of it.
There was a date.
It was May 25th, 2002.
Yeah, and this episode aired in March, so it was, but the same year. So,
well, I can sleep tonight knowing that.
So Brendan approaches her to give her Mr. Lindenson's message, but considering it consists of 49 different letters, he is just like, Now we have Brendan talking to Coach McGurk, explaining that it's just supposed to be a small, intimate event, and Coach replies, so? And that's when Coach is like, you already invited me. It's too late. Coach even asks, is Stephanie going to be there? And Brendan confirms she is. And Brendan's like, it doesn't matter because I'm disinviting you from the wedding. Coach asks if Stephanie has said anything about him. And Brendan is like, yeah, actually, she will not shut up about you. So that's when Coach points out, Brendan, it's a sure thing. I have to go. He starts to explain how some girls are easygoing. And Brendan interrupts again, and he's like, you're not going. They argue back and forth. Coach very insistent that he is going, and Brendan finally just cracks and says, ceremony at 1, guests should arrive by 12:30.
I continuously, because McGurk's very funny, but I continuously forget that McGurk was 100% a bully in school, just from his interactions with everybody. He's like, you've already invited me. I'm going.
Just no self-awareness.
Getting in the face of Brendan, an 8-year-old. I'm going.
Also, he could get laid.
There are some thoughts there, aren't there? There's some things to say, McGurk.
Yep.
Interesting. So we have a quick scene where at the small residence, Andrew pulls up. Paula meets him at the door. Paula asks if he's nervous, and he replies a little bit. And apparently he's there to pick up a couple things for Linda. Paula invites him in. Now we cut to a scene showing Brendan in front of a mirror, and this rash is now covering a large portion of his face. He's calling himself disgusting. He tries to put cream on it, and it looks like it hurts tremendously. The scene ends with Brendan yelling that he's gross.
Yeah, I like that it cut him off, right in the middle of it.
I also want to point out that just Paula looks so cute. She just looks so cute in that outfit.
Yeah.
She's got a nice little dress. It's got the collar and the necklace that matches. And I like Stephanie's outfit, too, her little dress. It's all blue and cute. The two different styles. And then there's just that black and white bow tie tux. So goddamn boring.
They make some pretty dope tuxes nowadays, though.
That's true.
I saw one that I took a picture of and sent to Jack for his wedding, and it was all psychedelic. It was pretty dope.
I'm gonna look up dope tuxes and see if I can find any that aren't $2,000.
Well, no, it's gonna be pretty fucking expensive, regardless of what the tux looks like.
Exactly. Well, we're back downstairs. Paula is introducing Andrew to Stephanie. Paula says they have to go because she needs to stop at the store. She has perfume for Linda. Something borrowed is a toothbrush, and Paula was thinking something blue could be mouthwash.
Paula giving absolutely no fucks or effort towards this.
It's so wild because, she is and she isn't. She is and she isn't.
It's like she's trying to, out of like the goodness of to like, this is going to be my son's stepmom, but also not giving enough fucks to actually do it right.
No, of course I'll get the flowers. Oh, were they actually tree saplings? That was my bad. Obviously a mix-up.
Do you think she was doing it
on purpose?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe a little low-key.
Yeah.
Like, there's... the flower thing is not a small thing, but like the whole like, oh, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. I got the perfume that's old. I got a toothbrush that's new and blue. We'll get you mouthwash. Like, those are kind of low-key digs.
Yeah.
I mean, Paula's doing... She doesn't have to do any of this.
Yeah, why are they asking her to do anything?
Right.
I'd be like, go kick rocks.
That's true. In the commentary, the conceit was like, well, and like you said, she's doing a lot of this for Brendan. She's doing a lot of this for Brendan.
I don't think Brendan gives a fuck, though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. But I feel like a lot of this she's doing for Brendan. And maybe the saplings and the mouthwash and toothbrush are just her own little personal, like, hey, screw you, buddy.
That's a real bad hat, Harry.
Well, Andrew asks if he could use the bathroom, and he's been going all morning. And Paula says it's nerves, and even gets a little reminiscent and says, remember our wedding? Andrew insists it's not nerves, it's his bladder thing. He has too much urine in his bladder.
That's me in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
That's why I want to get a catheter whenever I go see a movie.
Oh, yeah? You're going to put a catheter in every time you go see a movie? Good luck.
I mean, I've been pretty curious about sounding.
No.
Obviously, Tim has not.
Nope.
It's like what you do with your ears. You listen, there's sounds.
Right. Yes.
Dude, just bringing up catheters made me uneasy. I'm not doing this shit.
Golly.
So Paula says fine as her and Stephanie leave and tells Andrew that they'll meet him there. Quick scene where Brendan, with his tuxedo on, he's got the scarf on, and in the background we hear a toilet flush and what sounds like Andrew leaving. So Brendan walks down and he's even doing, Mom, Dad. Mom, Dad. And he gets no response. That's when he walks to the front window and sees his mom's car is gone and Andrew's driving away and he says, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So that's when the next scene opens. It's Brendan standing in front of a box of masks, trying on different things to cover up his rash. The first one he tries is an eye patch. He then does a paper bag. But then the third one is the luchador, the wrestling mask. And Marston's like, that's the one.
I personally was hoping. I was hoping for a Phantom of the Opera mask.
I thought that's where it was going too. Especially with the tuxedo.
Yeah, yep.
And the scarf.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure we were going Phantom.
Missed opportunity.
That would fit. You know what? I think they should allow masks at weddings and traditional, events in general. Why not people allow them to wear masks?
A masquerade.
I think it would be
Hey,
funny.
if you and Nick want to wear a masquerade masks down the aisle as you're throwing...
Or like just like a velociraptor mask or like...
The wolf mask?
I was going to say, I think it would be an awesome picture if everybody was like still wearing nice clothes, but just had a random mask on.
That'd be funny.
Someone's got the horse mask.
Yeah, the picture of the ceremony would be, I think it would be hilarious.
It'd be very artistic.
Yeah.
Everybody, there's a mask underneath your chair.
There's a mask on.
I don't know. People might think we're those rich people. What are they, the rough Richfields or whatever, where they wear masks.
The Bohemian Grove shit. Yeah, no. That ain't us, Chief.
Nah.
No sacrifices at the wedding. You can cut all of this out.
Yeah, you're good.
Nate's going to be like, we're all altruistic.
Well,
thank you guys for remembering that.
Yeah, that was such a good moment.
Yeah, it really was. Okay, so as Brendan is trying on the different masks and such, we hear the doorbell ring. Brendan answers it, and we find everyone's favorite, Mr. Lindenson.
Let's go.
Arnie or Arnold is his first name.
When he showed up, that was a horror movie. No one's home except for him and Mr. Lindenson. I wouldn't have been surprised. Let me in now.
And it can be nice.
Nice.
I mean, he's the type.
Yeah.
Immediately, Mr. Lindenson is like, what is wrong with your face? And Brendan confesses it's a rash. Mr. Lindenson asks Brendan if he knows who he is, and Brendan just makes a very nervous sound while scratching his face before finally saying no. Mr. Lindenson reintroduces himself, asks if he remembered he gave his mom that message to call him back ASAP. Brendan confesses he hasn't told his mom yet, but he plans on it. Mr. Lindenson brings the conversation back to Brendan's face. He tells Brendan not to touch him because he's allergic to people with allergies.
Allergic to poor people.
Mr. Lindenson asks if Paula is home, and Brendan says no, she's at her dad's wedding. Mr. Lindenson, almost confused, is like, didn't they invite you? Aren't you part of the family? And then even says maybe they're scared of your rash. So Brendan finally confesses that nope, they just left without him. He asks Mr. Lindenson if he'd like to go to the wedding, and Mr. Lindenson even says, are you inviting me? Brendan says, yeah, as long as you can give me a ride. So we got a quick shot at the church. And in the background, we see the flowers Paula was supposed to get are actually tree saplings. Paula confesses, obviously, there was some kind of mix-up. Andrew comes in to tell Linda that everything is all set, but unfortunately, the church double booked. Linda, very distraught, claims you can't have a wedding and a funeral at the same time, and Andrew says, hey, good news. They're going to let us do the wedding first, but they can't move the casket because it's bad luck. I love that. Linda's confused, and she's like, they're already dead. And Andrew's like, bad luck for the family.
Is that a thing? I've never heard of that before. Or is that just to move the plot along?
Maybe, it makes sense, like, why would you move a casket again? Like, then you're just, like, moving the body around,
yeah.
And it just seems kind of disrespectful.
That's fair.
I will say, Linda could have crashed out a lot more. And she didn't. I think she seemed to handle it a lot better than I thought she was.
Yeah. Maybe that therapy session is helping.
Honestly, because like when the tree sample, like I thought they were dead flowers, first of all.
Yeah.
So when they showed up, and she's like, yeah, I guess they made a mistake. And I was like, really, Linda? I expected you to like freak out a lot more here.
Right. Especially for how like easily she was able to freak out on Andrew. Maybe she didn't want to maybe she's not as comfortable around Paula.
Well, hey, maybe therapy is working and she is now internally dealing with emotions instead of lashing out at other people.
Let's hope for Linda's sake.
Let us hope. But I will say, like you said, she's very understanding of a lot of things that are happening right now. Casket, maybe not one of them. And it's even funny because she says, I can't get married in front of a casket, and even says, you know about my phobia.
What's the phobia?
You know how we talk about my phobia of getting married in front of a casket?
Maybe it's just dead people in general?
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, dead people are freaky.
Yeah. I would say yes.
They're all bad Christians.
Andrew tells Linda to look on the bright side. This is a great story to tell the divorce lawyer. Andrew and Linda both proceed to laugh maniacally.
I think this is finally a glimpse as to why they are together. Because it's like, they have the same sense of humor. Gotcha.
Yes. They have similar crash outs. Interesting.
They lose their mind at the exact same time. I honestly kind of found it a little cute that they were freaking out like that.
Yeah.
I expected Linda to freak.
Yeah, Bretzel it up.
Now we're in the car with Brendan and Mr. Lindenson, and they are heading to the church. Arnold says that Paula is a wonderful teacher, and Brendan asks, then why did you fire her? And that's when Mr. Lindenson gets defensive and says, hey, don't make me the bad guy. I may be the bad guy, but don't make me the bad guy. So Mr. Lindenson takes his hands off the wheel. The car is swerving. A couple of background catches. As soon as he does that, Brendan puts his seatbelt on. At one point, he grabs the back of the seat to like almost brace himself. There's a little bump. And then we see in the back window, Mr. Lindenson runs over a gnome.
Got him.
You see it fly in 3, maybe 4 frames.
Yeah, I was surprised we all caught that. It was very quick.
I didn't catch it the first time I watched it. Tim had to rewind and show me.
I'm not going to lie. Doing the episode breakdown was probably the first time I noticed it. In the maybe dozen times I've seen this episode.
Fun fact, all of those houses they're passing, they're all the same background. They're not moving. This isn't a car. They're not even in a car. They're in a voice booth, actually.
Whoa.
What the fuck? My reality is crumbling. It's already happened so many times this year.
I was about to say.
Another one.
Another one.
I believe at one point, Mr. Lindenson asked Brendan if he's going to be a teacher, and Brendan says no. And Arnie's like, good. Teaching is a thankless job. Brendan confesses he wants to be a filmmaker, and Mr. Lindenson immediately launches into a monologue from Death of a Salesman. I love it. Mr. Lindenson's like, I played Biff. And Brendan goes, is that a game? Yeah, he does a monologue. Brendan is really he's not paying attention to the road. He takes his hand off the wheel multiple times. At one point, Brendan tries to get him to stop and is like, the end. And Mr. Lindenson's like, okay, let's run it again from the top. Multiple seconds of driving with his eyes closed. And I think that's when Brendan is like, okay, we passed the church.
Lost his goddamn mind.
All right, this next scene is going to be our clip. Then after that, we have a quick scene in the church with Walter and Perry.
Perry? Yeah, I like weddings. Me too. Who are you going to marry, Perry? You! Well, Walter, we're not getting any younger. Oh my God, stop. I think I know what you're going to say. You do? The answer is yes, Perry. Yay. Perry? Yeah? You've made me the happiest person in the world. Me too. Oh my God, I can't believe we're getting married. Oh my God, me too. We are. Oh my God. Perry? Yeah? Don't ever leave me. I won't. Hey, Perry, I'm getting nervous about this. Don't be. Why are you so scared? Because it's a big step, Perry. But I think we're ready. Are we? Yeah. You know why? Because I can feel it in here. What are you pointing to? Walter, we should get married in a big church. And then you, Perry? Yeah? You'll lift me up and lift me over the threshold. Okay. Get on my back. This is how we'll do it. That's not how we do it. Get on. This is how we'll do it. No. Yeah. Yeah. This piggyback, Perry. But maybe this won't work out. Put it the other way. Like this? Yeah. That doesn't seem right. Now cross me over the threshold. Okay, but your head's gonna bump into my knees. It's pretend, Perry. I don't know how much longer I can hold you. Maybe if we lay down like this. Perry, you're squishing my head. I'm sorry. Here, I'll lift you up a little higher. Just get me over the threshold, Perry. Because your head's... Perry, I want to go over the threshold now. It's hard for me to talk. Okay,
Weeping Angel.
Perry, put me down. Okay. That was fun. That's... Every day will be like that when we get married. It's true.
Well...
That's true.
That's actually how Tim and I's engagement went, exactly.
You just slid in?
Well.
What's up, cowboy?
So, that scene we played with Walter and Perry, I love it. God, what a big step in the Walter Perry
They're engaged.
Universe.
Yes. I love he has the box with the ring, and as soon as he says yes, he throws the box. It's like they don't even... A big thing with that scene, though, and I spoke to David St. Angelo about this. That scene when they're trying to lift each other up and all this stuff, we have multiple people turning around and watching them, but also there's a painting with what appears to be maybe 3 wise men. Mm-hmm. They look like they're looking down. The angels statues kind of look like parts of the church decor also look like they are looking upon this judgingly, oh. Okay.
Sounds like church to me.
It sure does.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in the beginning of the scene, you're looking at the view, and this is a nitpick of animation, and I apologize for any animators, but when they cut back and forth to the people looking at Walter and Perry, they have switched sides of the room, and then also there's people that weren't there that are suddenly there, and I don't know who they are.
Yeah, that'll happen.
It's who are these people? Are they here for the funeral or the Linda?
Oh,
that's exactly, yeah. Friend of the bride, friend of the groom, friend of the corpse.
Oops.
You got to pick one. Well, the next scene, we see McGurk slide up to Stephanie and say, well, hello there, beautiful. Stephanie says, how yourself, cowboy? You smell nice. I love that. McGurk says, thanks, it's my deodorant. But enough about my smells. Let's talk about you, angel face.
Did you notice when he lifted it up his arms?
Just a disgusting pit stain, yeah.
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 Yup.
Can you just change out of the soccer uniform, please?
That's when Stephanie points out that she got a room there and holds a key up and asks McGurk if he'd like to check out the architecture.
So I know we talked about this as far as like, and they talked about it in the commentary about like there's like a hotel next to the church, and that's what she was talking about. But there's a clip where they show the church, and it says "Ye Old Church and Inn."
Oh,
so it's a church and an inn.
Yeah, they probably did that on purpose because realistically, yeah, in the commentary they're like, "Oh, there's a hotel next door," but she distinctly says, "I got a room here."
Yeah.
In the church.
Yeah.
Got a room in the church. I mean, it's big enough.
Yeah.
Fucking put some walls up, church.
The old church.
Did you see the room number that she had?
No, what was it? I missed it.
It's 311.
What's that mean?
I don't know. Ryan told me it was a band that he really likes.
Oh, shit.
It is a band. I don't know if it's that. I guess that could be the reference. I think 311's been around for a while.
Yeah. I just saw it was a number, and I was like, oh, yeah, Ryan told me about a band.
311 is, whoa, amber is the color of your energy.
Oh, shit. Okay, I know who they are now.
Yeah. They're like chill. They're chill. I believe they have a 311 cruise that they do.
Interesting.
Yes.
They do. That's interesting. I was hoping that the room number was going to be 303. Don't trust her. Never trust her. Don't trust me. She wants to tell me why.
I'm a vegetarian and I'm fucking
scared of him.
I have no idea what's happening right now.
The band 303?
There's a band called 303?
Yes. And then they go.
What is happening right now? Were those gang signs?
I think if I had played like their big song for you, you might have heard it.
Yeah, probably.
Don't trust a hoe.
No,
don't trust a hoe. Don't trust me. No?
Didn't she?
I got nothing.
Didn't they do a song with
Katy Perry? Yes.
I want to see your
My
peacock.
arch nemesis, Katy Perry.
You ever feel like a plastic bag running through the wind, trying to start again?
Fucking Katy Perry. You can cut this out, but she just came out with a song about how everything is going to be okay. And I'm all like, fuck you, Katy Perry. Yeah, everything's going to be okay for you.
Yeah, Katy Perry, you and your music business.
Golly. Anyway.
I suppose it's a church with an inn. I don't think I've seen a church with an inn in a very long time. Actually, I'm more familiar with churches closing their doors when people need inside than actually helping out people like that. But
fucking get them, babe, because it's true.
Fucking go for it.
I didn't see Joel Osteen's mega church open up when there was flooding out there.
Sniped.
Kind of weird to say you serve the community when you're not even willing to open the doors to your fucking mega church to let people in.
Yeah, suck my dick, dude.
Now they got lasers and then coming down on zip wires and.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they need the breakdancing Santa on the floating platform.
Oh my god.
The drummer boys with LED vests.
Burn it.
Start it over. Throw it away. We have another scene where in the church, Paula's sitting by herself, or is she? Popping up behind the pew she is sitting on is Mr. Lindenson. Paula genuinely confused as to why he is there, and Arnie confesses that Brendan invited him. I don't know if you caught it. She rolls her eyes when Mr. Lindenson says that, because at this point it's, you got Coach McGurk is there. Brendan invited him, shouldn't have. Jason and Melissa there. Brendan invited him. He shouldn't have. And now we got Mr. Lindenson there. Brendan invited him, and he shouldn't have.
Well, Paula did invite Stephanie, so...
Yeah, as a +1, probably. But you got to think, though, Mr. Lindenson is probably the justifiable one because he was his ride there. Mm-hmm. I mean, Paula didn't fucking give him a ride there.
That's true.
I was going to say, but also, like, imagine the guy that fired you just showed up. Just randomly. Was like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Well, that's probably why when he asked Paula if they can talk, Paula's like, no. Paula asks where Brendan is, and Mr. Lindenson says he's in the bathroom. And then again asks Paula if this is good time for a dialogue. Paula obviously says no. That's when Andrew approaches and says, we're ready. Where's Brendan? Paula introduces Mr. Lindenson as her old boss, and Mr. Lindenson corrects her to say he's not her old boss anymore. He is her old new boss. He goes on to explain that he came here on this, the day of her ex-husband's wedding. She says, thanks for reminding. to offer her old job back. He even says, yes, you heard me. Who couldn't hear me? And then she proceeds to give Mr. Lindenson a bunch of little kisses on the cheek. Little cheek kisses.
Probably not that far. I'd be like, thank you for not being a dickhead. Thank you for leaving now. Go away.
Right.
I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about my raise. Let's circle back to that. So the following scene, we're outside the bathroom. We've got Melissa and Jason trying to get Brendan to come out of the bathroom. This was like my second choice for a scene to play. I really like this scene. Brendan is just like, you hear it. He is distraught. He's like, I'm a monster.
Relatable.
Melissa's like, you're overreacting. Jason points out maybe you're a werewolf. And Brendan's like, don't joke about that. And Jason tells him he's not joking, Brendan. Do you have any hair on your back? And Brendan's like, no. He's like, do you have any hair on your chest? I love it because Brendan's like, Melissa, put Jason back on the door. Jason's like, I'm here. He's like, no. And then Jason asks him, okay, Brendan, do you have any hair on your head? And that's when Brendan says, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Jason is like, just as I feared. Melissa, get the garlic. And Melissa says, okay, garlic is not for werewolves. That's for vampires. Jason and Melissa are trying to convince Brendan to come out. And Brendan says he'll come out, but they have to promise not to freak out. Low-key side conversation. Melissa's like, I don't want to promise that. And Jason's like, well, we have to. Otherwise, he's not going to come out. So they promise, but they both have their fingers crossed. So Brendan opens the door, and it's just a look of horror on Melissa and Jason's face. Now, we're going to be cutting back and forth between a lot of scenes pretty quickly here. First one being Stephanie in her room with Coach McGurk. He says it's a nice room, and Stephanie says, yeah, but you know what's not so nice? My back is sore.
Oldest trick in the book. And
she proceeds to take off her dress, falls to the ground. We see, I think they called that the graduate angle, where you see the women's legs and then him standing, and he just says, oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
So we cut back to Brendan, Jason, Melissa. Melissa telling Brendan it's fine. Jason passes out. And Melissa says, just in case, I have a plan. So cutting back to McGurk and Stephanie, Coach says his back used to be sore a few years ago. So welcome to the club, the Sore Back Club.
I just want to point out the sound design. When she's touching her legs and her body, you can hear it in the episode, and it's so, like, real, and it just, like it's up against the mic, and you can hear her touching herself, and it's just so fucking obnoxious in the funniest way while he's scrumbling there. She's like... Yeah.
Stephanie asks if he has any suggestions to make her back feel better, and Coach recommends pills and alcohol, and then says you can't go wrong with a good night's sleep.
I feel bad for both of them in this. Like, Stephanie's literally just throwing herself at him, and he's not able. He doesn't know. He is so deer in the headlights.
Well, and I mean, yeah, maybe let's talk about this. There was an actual post on the Home Movies subreddit that was like, why didn't Coach close the deal with Stephanie in this episode? And I thought there was a lot of very interesting answers. I told Adele before I even saw that post, my thing was I kind of compared McGurk to that dog that is on the other side of the fence that's barking and barking and barking, and then somehow gets to your side of the fence and then is just like, and then just kind of runs off with its tail between his legs. I feel like it was McGurk is all bark, and then when he got to a point where it's like, all right, cool, let's see, he's like, whoa, I didn't think I'd get this far.
My take on it, which I think McGurk is very afraid of intimacy, as he is mentioned quite often in more ways than one, because I still think about that, like, I'm just trying to help, like every other woman in my life.
Do you think it also has to do with the fact that she was making all the first moves?
I don't know why that throws people off, but I think you're right. I think that could have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Some of the answers on the subreddit were a little meaner.
It's the internet. It's Reddit.
They're like, he's a fat alcoholic who probably hasn't gotten laid in 5 or 6 years. Like, he probably can't even perform if he wanted to.
First
and I'm
of
like,
all,
whoa.
Fenton's mom, okay? Let's not forget that. I think it was the fact that he didn't have the reins of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my take. And because he didn't, it threw him off and it made him nervous because
he's afraid of women taking.
Maybe he's a top. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, so now we cut back to the wedding. Andrew's asking where Brendan is, and that's when Jason and Melissa come out. And Jason's like, "Oh, Mr. Small, he's right here." And it's Melissa and Brendan's talking to me like, "What's up, Mom? What's up, Dad?"
What's up?
Jason immediately is like, "Okay, I don't think they're falling for it." They said in the commentary, like, this is one of those things that like a traditional sitcom would be like, this is what they would try to do. Like, oh, this is the solution. Just pretend. And they're like, so for us, this was a perfect like throwaway joke. Like, yeah, we're going to do this. And it was like 2 lines and Jason's like, all right, we're done.
Isn't Melissa black? Like, she's black, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, Jason, you be Brendan.
Right. The other white boy.
Well, Paula seems very confused, asks where Brendan is, and that's when Brendan busts through the double doors and says, "I'm right here." He's in his underwear. The rash has taken over a majority of his body. And that's when Jason says, "Oh my God, he's loose."
The juice is loose.
with the fucking dolly zoom.
Yes. So back to McGurk and Steph. Coach is asking her what her parents do, and she's like, "They're retired."
Talking about retired parents really gets me in the mood.
Yeah.
She's holding up the blanket
Yeah.
with a silhouette while she's doing high knees for some reason. And then she turns around, she's rubbing it on her back. She's like, ooh, yeah.
And then she goes, "I'm cold," and then
Throws the blanket.
Kirk holds up a finger and is like, well, actually.
Yeah. Well, when he's talking about the heating pad, he holds up the finger, and then it cuts to his POV, and his finger is like blocking Stephanie perfectly.
Yeah.
The next scene is Paula trying to wake up Brendan. Brendan awakens and says he had the weirdest dream. He had a dream that he had a rash and he was ugly and you were there and you were there. And then even points to a doctor and he's like, and he was there. And I don't even know who that is. And he's like, doesn't anyone believe me? And that's when Paula's like, yeah, Brendan, we do believe you because it wasn't a dream. It shows Brendan laying in a bed and he is almost completely covered in rash. The doctor asks if he's been under any stress recently, and Brendan just says, So yes, I would say Brendan has been under a little bit of stress, not with just the wedding, but the fact that he's invited now 4 people who were not actually invited to the wedding, and he was supposed to tell them they aren't.
Right. And then doesn't immediately Linda and Andrew come in, and he immediately starts like scratching like crazy as soon as they enter the room. So I think it's just the whole wedding situation in general.
Absolutely. Yeah, Linda points out that the minister left, and she starts crying. Andrew asks what they're going to do, and Linda continues to cry, saying all she wanted to do was get married. Well, good news. We cut back to the wedding ceremony, and officiating the wedding is everybody's favorite, Mr. Lindenson.
Ayo.
He says, I haven't done this recently, or ever. I assure you all that what I'm doing is perfectly legal, safe, and tax deductible. He even stumbled through some of like the traditional wedding jargon, and at one point saying, we are gathered here today to wed this couple. You betcha. He gets out one line. He's like, huh? Huh?
I don't know. I'd rather have anyone else. I'd have anyone else officiate this wedding. You mustache man who doesn't speak, come up here. Tell me that we're married. Please.
I'm surprised, since this is the season 3 finale, that Ken Adelberg wasn't in it.
Oh, the season 2 finale? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. He's been in, I think, like 7 episodes this season.
Yeah. He could have officiated last minute, I'm sure.
That would have been funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they just had Andy Kindler for Lindenson, and they're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to let you officiate.
Oh, also, did we see Paula start scratching at...
Yeah.
I was going to say a real quick catch where Paula is sitting in a pew with Melissa and Jason. She starts scratching, and Jason clocks it immediately, nudges Melissa, and points to it.
He's just like...
Maybe implying that Brendan's rash was contagious after all.
Ah, shit.
The ceremony is over. We see Linda and Andrew walking out of the church, getting rice thrown on him. Andrew has his fucking earpiece in from when he kept taking phone calls at the zoo.
Wow.
Linda throws one of the saplings and it hits Melissa. They get into the car that says just married and drive away.
I wanted to point out that technically the bouquet, right? The sapling is a bouquet. Mm-hmm, she tosses it, Melissa catches it, and then Jason and Melissa are looking at each other. So I don't know if that is supposed to say something or anything like that.
Interesting.
It seems that way. And then the cans when they're in the car and they're driving away.
So this is my question. Since Paula was so bent out of shape that all these people were getting invited because weddings are expensive, yet the church was practically empty and there was no reception. So, like, what was she worried about as far as, like, capacity-wise?
I think at one point she mentions that it was supposed, or Brendan mentioned that Paula said it was supposed to be a small, intimate affair. So maybe just they didn't really want to have a lot of people, period.
That's fair.
I mean, it was very intimate. No one else spoke. I didn't see anyone from Linda's side. Honestly, didn't see anyone from Andrew's side.
You know what? At one point, we get the faraway shot, I think is right as Arnie is starting to officiate it. It looks like Linda has 2 bridesmaids. And yeah, I don't think Andrew has any.
Interesting. Well, like they said earlier, it is like their second wedding, and usually people tend to do a more
smaller, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd if I ever like got married, then got divorced, and I was about to get married again. Like, who do you call? Hey, so here's the thing. Going for a second try. You come? You coming out?
You coming and you're bringing a gift, right?
You're bringing a gift. You're gonna deliver that same best man speech you had last time. It was a doozy.
Keep that same energy. Well, we have one more quick scene with Stephanie and McGurk. Stephanie is now sitting on the bed holding a pillow, asking what they should do next. And Coach says, I think this cowboy's going to get going. Thank you for having me. Tell your parents I said hello and congratulations on the retirement.
I feel bad for Stephanie in this.
I felt so bad, too.
It's like, I just imagine she's, like, divorced and lonely, and she's just finally found somebody that's interested in her, and then the second they get alone in a room, she, like, literally undresses.
Yeah.
It's completely naked, and he's, like, uninterested whatsoever.
Well, maybe it was moving a little too fast for McGurk. Maybe it was just, he was shell-shocked.
I mean,
like, whoa.
I don't know. I feel like she laid the groundwork with the innuendos and
sure
the blueprints.
Yeah, the blueprints and the landscape and all that shit. And he definitely had the same mindset going into this because she's so easygoing, as he so gentlemanly put. So I think I don't blame her for her future spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, McGurk wanted to shave her pubes or cut the lawn, as he put it.
That's what he really wanted to do.
Yeah,
and then when she got
naked,
and he found out that she did it already. So he was uninterested.
He's like disappointed. I trained. I watched the YouTube videos on this.
Disappointment.
But just all that talk, you know, and Stephanie was like, oh, he's talking a big game. All right, let's fucking go. And then, nope. I get the shell shock, but, you know, talk shit.
I still think I'm keeping with my metaphor of, like, he's the dog on the other side of the fence, and he's got the talk, and he barks, and he does all that. But then the second you open the gate and he gets on the other side, he's just like, oh, I didn't think I'd get over here.
Well,
I've been barking on this side of the fence for 6 years. Ain't shit happened, but now. All right. Well, final scene, gang. We're in the movie. Brendan, the landstander, is saying that his journey has been most amusing. His character says that it was a shame that none of them shared in his cursed rash. They could have traded some nice stories about rashes. It shows Jason as the dragon, and he is starting to itch. Points out that that Brendan's character brought the curse upon himself. Melissa agrees and says he could have willed it away at any time. Brendan claims no one told him that, and Melissa said, yeah, because you have to learn it for yourself.
Is this another Wizard of Oz reference?
Maybe.
2 in one go?
Where's the first one?
The first one was like, and you were there, and you were there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Melissa said you had to learn that for yourself, and then asks, isn't that right, my dragon? my slave companion friend that I own for eternity who belongs to me and is also my friend. And Jason walks up and he's like, I think we need to have a small chat. Melissa immediately yells at him to shut up. And Jason the dragon's like, yeah, that's kind of my point.
Jason the dragon needs to get the fuck out of there.
The Landstander goes on talking about how it is strange. I could have willed it away myself. And Jason and Melissa's character both yell at him to shut up. Before Melissa's character has her dragon attack him. While the dragon is attacking him, Brendan's character is laying on the ground saying he just wanted to stand on land.
Damn.
And that's the end of Season 2, Episode 13, The Wedding, and the end of Season 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the music is goes crazy.
Yeah, we got some pretty epic music there for the credits scene. And if you stick around to the very end of the credits, there's always the Soup to Nuts can logo. That character that Jason plays comes in and hits it like a gong at the very end of the credits. So there you go. That is it.
Womp womp. Should we do grades?
I think we should.
Marcin, do you have a grade for Jason today?
I do. I have it here, but I'm trying to think through the episode of, like, he was very funny. The part where he's like, do you have hair on your chest, the back of your hands, your head? And just that he's loose was very funny. Also, when Melissa was like, hey, Mom, hey, Dad. All right, we're done. Melissa, we're done.
Yeah. Shuts it down immediately.
I think the only part where I'm like, come on, was when he was like, there's lots of rashes, and like, where? And she's like my butt. But it's fine. He's got an A. That's an easy A for Jason this episode.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Nice. All right, should we give the overall episode a grade?
Yeah, let's do that. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Sure.
I really liked this episode. There's a lot of heavy hitters in this episode as far as like Stephanie, Linda, his dad, fucking Mr. Lindenson comes back. There's a lot of really good like one-liners in it. One of my favorites just being when he said, do you have hair on your head? And he's like, I do. I do.
I do. He was so distracted. I do. I do.
And there was a lot of good laughs in this one. I'm going to give it an A+.
Hell yeah. That scene with Brendan at the door, like I said, that was kind of my second clip I wanted to play. I'm trying to keep it to one clip an episode now. The actor Brendan Small, his acting in that scene was so good. Put Jason back out of the door. Do you have hair in your head? I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I like
so
when
good.
when he came out of the bathroom, he's like, Mom, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I especially liked when she's like, we promise we won't freak out. And Melissa's like, wait, no, I didn't say that. He's like, you want to say this, don't you?
Yeah.
There is a lot of good laughs. I love the chaotic energy that Stephanie brings to an episode.
Yeah.
It really makes me like excited. And then I was very surprised by how better Linda has been and how I've actually genuinely felt bad for her when she was like tearing up and like welling. And I just want to get married. There's a lot of elements to, and then McGurk just like not being able to just have the confidence and bull rush ahead like he normally does. Like, you don't deserve the reckless mobile, McGurk.
Yeah.
You're not reckless. But it was a real fun episode. I gave it an A.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love this episode. I really enjoy season finales. I think this finale, what they maybe intentionally, maybe not, decided to do, or take three characters that we've had in the show so far that probably weren't the most likable characters. Linda has never really been very likable, in my opinion. Stephanie had her moments, but her first appearance was pretty rough. They also give Lindenson a little bit of a redemption arc by giving him the ability to offer Paula her job. So
he killed a gnome.
We all kill gnomes. That's fine. They're not real. But yeah, no, I like that dynamic of not only having a season finale, but then bringing back three fairly unlikable characters and making you kind of be like, hey, you know what, maybe I was kind of hard on these characters. Or I liked Lindenson. Stephanie had her moments. I felt for Linda this episode for sure. I really enjoyed Brendan and Jason and Melissa's story arc. I would say this episode for me is probably going to be an A+. I think I'm going to give it an A+, yeah.
Hell yeah. Nice.
That's an easy
I will
one.
say I still don't forgive Linda for taking a picture of Brendan in his underwear.
Yeah, that was just weird.
Yeah. We don't know if she deleted it, threw it out, but
we don't know what she
there.
did.
Yeah. The only thing that was keeping me from giving the episode like a full like A+ was it didn't hit that like season finale like I thought it was going to be. Like the highs of the first season finale was so different from the rest of the season, especially the first season. It's not that I was expecting that, but like of a season finale, I kind of want to feel those types of emotions, like something fun. And this episode was incredibly fun. Don't get me wrong, but that's the only reason I didn't give it an A+.
Sure.
That's fair.
I think that's understandable. And personal opinion is the last two season finales, I think definitely hit in a big way. So I get what you're saying. You still gave it an A, so it's not like you're like C-. Like it's, it's still a very fair grade. But yes, the finales I think are definitely carry a lot more weight with 3 and 4. So yeah, is there anything else we'd like to add about this episode? I have so many thoughts on season 2, but just like last season, we are going to be releasing next week an interview with an animator and editor from Home Movies, David San Angelo. And then the following week, we're going to be releasing a season 2 recap where we can really kind of break down our thoughts on season 2. So
hell yeah.
That will be fun. God, season 2 flew by, dude.
It really did. It really did. So I can't express to you guys how excited I am for season 3. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Thacker's coming back.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. So, of course, the last thing we got to do is jump into those sweet plugs.
Plug me up.
Let's go. All right, Marcin, why don't you go first?
I'm reaching into my bag of infinite projects here. I'm still working on the feature film I started in 2016. It's called The Doorman, and it's really weird, experimental. I started working on it before I even understood how anything in film works, like genres or anything like that, so I don't really know how to classify it. All I know is that it's going to get done one day, hopefully. But the logline is, when his childhood friends ghost him, our main character is called to the madhouse, where he forgets who he is and becomes prey to the man in the doorway. In order to escape, he must answer who he is, what he wants, and what his favorite color is. So that's a mouthful, but that's all the projects I'm working on.
Hell yeah. We did not plan that.
No, we didn't. I think we're a unit at this point.
Hell yeah.
An absolute unit.
So sometimes I paint, sometimes I make things, and sometimes I post that on my Instagram, which is the Artisanal of Oddity. That is Artisanal of Oddity at www.instagram.com. And that's my plug.
And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner Podcast. They were nice enough to donate equipment to us so we could keep this podcast going. So we always want to give them a nice little shout out at the end. The Happy Corner Podcast streams every Sunday at 1:45 Central. And then you can get the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for a very special interview with David San Angelo. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at Linktree/RHMpod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Thanks to Shannon Conway for the refresh of our logo and Chris Bongat for the use of our theme song. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-host Marcin and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.